This painting of the Nativity is in the National Gallery and dates back to 1470. The artist was a famous Italian, Piero della Francesca, and his interpretation of the Nativity scene has much to teach us and inspire us today. One very important aspect of this scene is that the artist has set it in his own present time and in his own familiar surroundings. He lived in Tuscany, and his hometown of Borgo's Sansepolcro is shown on the right-hand side of the painting, with its buildings and windows and tall towers familiar to anyone who has visited Tuscany. On the left we see a wooded valley through which flows the river Arno, which eventually makes its way to the centre of Florence. The stable is a rough creation of grey stone, a decayed ruin on the outskirts of the town. But within this familiar scene, Piero has created a sacred space. You can trace its outline in the left-hand corner along the bottom of the painting, and there's just a little bit of it in the bottom right-hand corner as well. And within this sacred space, grass and healing plants grow, and it's here that we find all the characters in this drama. It's interesting that each of them responds to the birth of the Christ child in a different way. Let's start with Joseph, who sits on a saddle, one leg crossed over his knee and facing away from Mary and the baby. His reaction is most interesting, and many will have sympathy with it. He doesn't know what to make of this birth or what to believe about it. Matthew tells us that he nearly divorced Mary when he found that she was pregnant, and nativity scenes in icons show Joseph being tempted by the devil not to believe. John Betjeman expresses a similar doubt in his well-known poem, Christmas.
And is it true, and is it true, this most tremendous tale of all, seen in a stained glass window's hue?
And then just behind Joseph are two shepherds with rather indistinct faces caused by earlier cleaning of the painting. One shepherd points to the sky, recalling his experience of the night and how he saw angels up in the sky and heard them sing. He is a witness to these events and proclaims the good news. The angels themselves are on the left. An imaginary line through the middle of the painting goes from top to bottom and marks an important division. On the left are the holy ones, the angels and the Christ child. On the right are the humans. And the reaction of the angels is to make music and sing glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace among his people. 3 of the angels play musical instruments, 2 large lutes and a simple stringed instrument with a bow. The 2 angels at the back with their mouths open are the singers. You can almost hear the sound, especially if you look at their feet. The position of their feet goes up and down on the ground, just like the notes on a musical score. But the angels are not the only ones singing praises, for just behind them, in the centre, the ass or donkey raises its head, opens its mouth, and brays loudly. In contrast, amidst this joyful noise, Mary kneels on the ground in quiet contemplation, her eyes focused on the Christ child and her hands placed together in prayer. Her long blue robe holds the baby as it lies on the ground. And Mary is not the only one to be gazing in silent adoration, for just behind Mary is the ox, gazing at Jesus, his head bowed in a kind of prayer. And the ox and the ass, although not mentioned in the Gospel stories, have always been in nativity scenes fulfilling Isaiah's prophecy. The ox knows his owner, and the ass his master's crib. Well, we started off by noticing that these events were depicted by the artist Piero as though they were happening in his own time and place. And of course, this was true for him and is true for us. The incarnation is always, now and everywhere. And so the response to the birth of Christ will be the same now as it was then. Some will doubt, others will praise and sing and give thanks. Others will tell the story and proclaim the good news of what they have witnessed and experienced, and yet others will, like Mary and the ox, respond in silent contemplation in the heart. For Mary, we are told, kept all these things, pondering them in her heart. And it is within the heart that today we encounter the Christ. So it is this which brings us back to the baby in the painting, the centre of all the attention, vulnerable and naked, a suitable image for the Christ child, which is our real self. This has been naturally indwelling within us since our birth. For Christ is not born in us at Christmas. Christ has always been there, but rather is waiting to be discovered. The problem is that we are distracted by reputation, self-image, possessions, money, appearance, and so on. And the true joy of Christmas is to discover our real self, the Christ child, where we are one with God, and this oneness we call love. The deep inner self, which is the Christ, is all about compassion, and it is this which is so well illustrated by the Christ child in Piero's painting. The baby's eyes are wide open, gazing at Mary, and he stretches out his arms in love towards her, as he does to us. And finally, there is a hint in the painting of the lengths to which this love will go. On the ground and amongst the plants, too tiny to see in this reproduction, are two goldfinches, bright little birds bearing red marks on their heads, which associate them with Christ's passion and the suffering of the world, which has been brought home to us so vividly in recent months. And on the roof is a magpie, a dark herald of the extent of Christ's love for us and the world, shown on the cross. So, in the end, this painting and the Christmas story is all about the presence of love, shining like a light in the dark world. Christina Rossetti expresses it well in her poem, often sung as a carol. Love came down at Christmas, love all lovely, love divine. Love came down at Christmas, star and angels gave the sign. Love shall be our token, Love be yours, and love be mine. Love to God and all men. Love the gift and sacred sign.